It's a really big day here at Toi Poneke, back after lockdown with Sian Torrington's opening. It's like buzzing. It's really nice to be back here, eh?
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah. Your role at council is with public art, I think. What can you describe your actual role?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So I work as the Senior Arts Advisor here at council, well, one of three actually, and my role is mostly centred on visual arts. So I work across public art, I work with the art collection.
Wow, right.
That's not my main role, but I'm involved in it. But I also get to work here with the team on Toi Poneke Gallery. Essentially, I think what I do is helping artists to work with council and also helping council to work with artists.
Okay, so Toi Poneke is an art centre. It's not just a gallery, right? There's a whole lot of other components to these buildings here.
So the gallery is situated here within the Arts Centre, and the Arts Centre has been around since about 2005 when there was, you will remember, bypass that went through up Cuba Street.
Yeah.
And so that was real hub of activity for artists. So the residents in response wanted to maintain that, and Toi Poneke was created, and it's still here. And so in the Arts Centre you have residents, so artists and studios, organisations, businesses, and then we have rooms for hire, so things like music studios, dance studios, community rooms, meeting spaces, and it's kind of a place where you can really participate in creative work.
Or even just as an artist, or for yourself, for me as an arts worker, just coming here and being able to hang out somewhere. This public space is great.
Yeah, in fact, that space is called the Hub, and that is really how I think of Toi Poneke. Like, it's a way to be involved in the arts, a place to kind of learn and participate, or just to even see or listen or do.
Yeah. It's interesting you do mention that the bypass and all that happening. I mean, we can literally see the bypass out the window. I'm looking out beyond the camera, and that whole area was much more of a sort of a creative hub organically before then. I guess having a gallery space here was also quite an important thing. As I remember, there was a lot of concern about representation or room for particularly Wellington-based artists to get shows. So is that what is the rationale about who shows in this space?
Yeah, so we do give priority to Wellington artists, and I think showing this is Toi Poneke is a council-funded gallery, so it very much is about Wellington artists and Wellington audiences. And I think that issue of representation is still just as important as it was then.
Okay, yeah, so in terms of those opportunities to show.
Yeah, so Toi Poneke is a proposal-based gallery, so any artist can submit a proposal, and that's, can be quite unusual. There's not that many opportunities to do that. So we have an exhibition panel made up of arts practitioners, so they have backgrounds as artists or lecturers or curators, and we select exhibition proposals a couple of times a year.
So it's open to apply, but it's also curated. So it's a little bit unlike, say, Thistle Hall, a community gallery, where pretty much you can book a slot. Here you are selected.
Yeah, so here it very much is about developing arts practice. So we work with emerging artists, so quite often it might be somebody's first show out of university, and there's that real leap you make from showing work on the walls of your university to actually working in a space where you have to think through the space, you have to think about an audience for maybe the first time ever. And then we work with established artists as well, like Sian is a really good example, and she's also someone who she's a real Toi Poneke person in a way, in that she's taught here, she's done classes here, and she's showing here as well.
Yeah, you mentioned the space, and it is, as the camera will be showing, quite a distinctive space to use, L-shaped with these interesting pillars. It gets used in quite interesting ways, I think. It's quite dynamic.
Yeah, and that's a really important part, I think, of what we do. And I guess it's a proposal-based system, and our kind of ethos is that we ask artists to have a go, so that they're really understanding that whole process of what it means to put on a show, right from the beginning to the end. But we're there along the way, mentoring and supporting, and different people need different things. It might be, we'll get ask artists to draft a blurb and then we'll work with them to develop it. So there's that sense that people could walk out of here and put on a show, not wait to have one, to find a space and put something on. Yeah.
So they're very much supported here, which is I guess a distinctive thing about it. People get a lot of that kind of public gallery kind of support rather than just having a space and being left to it.
Yeah, no, it's definitely not that. And I think one of the moments that I really enjoy is the artists bring in the work in their install week, and then we always meet in the space and talk about how the work will be in the space. And for some people, they're used to thinking through a space, but for others, it can be the first time that they've done that. So it's really, how can you push the space? How can you make a dynamic show? How can you kind of punctuate the work in the space? And it's really exciting to be doing that and to be in my role. And it's also really interesting conversation and great learning that happens, I think, as well.
Thanks, Eve. Let's talk to Sian. Kia ora, Sian.
Kia ora,
Congratulations on this beautiful show, Toi Poneke.
Thank you.
I wanted to start by asking you what Toi Poneke means to you. Eve and I have just been talking about it, and it's a pretty special space. It's been around 15, 16 years now. What's your involvement been here?
I've done lots of things here, and one of the things that I really appreciate about Toi Poneke is that I come and do some of my kind of artist admin life in the hub here.
Exactly.
Because my studio is down the road in Vivian Street.
Yes.
So I love coming and doing little bits and pieces there and being around other artists and feeling like I actually have a real job and there are other people doing that same job. So yeah, that's kind of like a regular thing that I do and connect with people, just have conversations, which is really nice.
Nice. And you've shown here in group shows, but you've like done drawing classes and
yeah,
probably all sorts of things.
Yeah, so drawing classes, expressive life drawing classes, queer and trans drawing class in the community room there.
Right.
Yeah, and then I think this is actually my first solo show here. Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Finally here.
Finally actually showing a whole show. Yeah.
Your exhibition statement starts with a line that goes something like, sometimes art making can feel like an act of self-acceptance.
Yeah.
I wanted to find out more about that statement. How is that for you?
Yeah. So I often have this experience of wishing that, if it was neater, or if it was more like, that seems like an easier thing, or if it was, or etc. And I feel like it's the same process of getting older and just going, actually, this is who you are.
I accept my messiness.
This is who you are,
Yeah.
and and that that it's actually about finding a bigger piece of paper or finding a way to hold what wants to come through.
So all this work we're seeing is in a way a kind of a self-portrait, or a way of it's an expressive way of expressing who you are, to put it.
Yeah,
broadly. I
guess so. I mean, I feel like this body of work I've made over the last year, and I went to the studio at night a lot, which is quite unusual for me. I usually have specific studio days. But it did start to feel like a mirror, but more like a energetic mirror. Like often I feel like, what is my job? What is my job? When I'm teaching or when I'm facilitating, or what is the thing that I'm actually doing in those spaces? And my supervisor over the last year started saying to me, it's just actually being there. It's being there. That's what you're doing. And I often think in terms of alchemy, these elements. Like, Sian, you're an element in that room that is changing that room. And going to the studio for some reason, especially at night, you know, and opening these doors, and a lot of the work I've been doing out in the world over the last year has been around a lot of trauma and a lot of grief. But I would open those doors, and this is what I saw. So I saw colour, and I saw energy, and to me, it is life force.
Right.
Yeah. So
Okay.
it is the resistance of death and loss, and it's the opposite. Yeah.
So
it's that
we've got
other
these
side.
assemblages, constructions, and paintings, drawings, if you like. Where do the works start? How do they begin?
That's what everyone always asks.
Oh, do
Where
they?
do they start? Where do you start? So with the drawings,
Now they can stop. They can just watch the video.
they can just watch this on repeat. With the drawings, they usually start with me closing my eyes, grabbing a couple of colours, and just feeling into that space. So often when I teach class, the first thing we do is actually close our eyes and just feel that piece of paper, like that is your space.
Right.
That is where you can go, whatever it can go here. So once something's down, it's a relationship. So then I open my eyes and I see, okay, what's here? Who are you? What do you need? And then the relationship begins. So it's another colour, or it's another, you know. And then we get into struggle, and then we come back out, and we have our adventure together until they're done.
Do the 3D works? Well, they're all sort of 3D, aren't they? It's the misnomer. But do the bigger sculptural assemblage works, are they different for you? Do they come from different places, or? They
kind of, I kind of work from one across to the other, so from drawing to sculpture to drawing to sculpture. So I almost feel like when I can't put something into one form, when I get stuck, then it goes into the other form,
right, yes.
and then back across. And in the studio I have a lot of materials, and so some things start by accident, just a natural assemblage where things have fallen together and they feel they're expressing something there, and then build from there.
The show, was this all ready to go before lockdown, or how was that lockdown period affecting your work?
Yeah, so there were a couple of sculptures that were not finished before lockdown. The show would have been kind of about 2 weeks into lockdown.
Right. So you, like Cuba Duper, had quite a big adjustment to make.
Yeah, so everything just got left, and I didn't go into the studio for 2 months. And when I went back in, I had this really strange experience of having a week in the studio, which just felt horrible. It just felt like I was wading through mud. I didn't understand anything. I couldn't connect with mainly these two pieces that weren't finished before lockdown. And I started to think, wow, what do they need? What do they need to, they're nearly there. And then this realization that they're not nearly there. They're actually from a different time. Right. And it was like there's this gulf of time in the middle, and Sian, you can't bring them over. Right. You have to release them. So I completely cut them up. So these really small works came out of there. Huh. And a friend said to me, "Oh, did you feel, like sad, or like that they, you're cutting them up?" And it was such a good question, because I said, well, it's like, there's kind of, that's so much more work now to finish these pieces, but the work doesn't care. It just wants to live. So it's like gardening. It doesn't. We have an idea of, this form or this, but it just wants to live and be in process. It doesn't mind what form it's in. So it's really interesting.
Well, speaking of form, here at Toi Poneke, I think you're bringing a band together as part of this project. Can you tell us about your band? Yeah,
so our band is called Band Sensations, and we've played together for, I think, 6 or 7 years. So it's me and Wellington, my partner, and Amos Mann. And we practice most weeks together, and we improvise and we make sound, and then we usually do about 1 gig a year. So it's this great kind of presence experience with each other that very occasionally gets shared with the public. And yeah, I feel like making this show after lockdown has been really hard energetically. Like I feel like coming back up from that massive slowdown has been a real push, you know. So instead of me talking alone, I want company, you know, I want to be in company. So we will be here and we will make a lot of noise and connect together. There's a lot of harmonizing. Like how do we come back together now after this shift, you know? And I feel like that's still happening. You know, we're not quite arrived together yet. So sound helps that to happen. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations. Thank you for joining us.
You're welcome. Thank you.